This video is brought to you by Midway USA. Support the channel by choosing Midway for your shooting and outdoor supplies.
We're here. It's 150.
It is 150 already?
No, I'm on the 150.
Oh, okay. You're an AR-15 fan, right?
Yes.
This is also a direct impingement.
So this is basically an AR-15.
In fact, an AR-15 is not a true direct impingement. That's right.
This is more of an AR-15 than an AR-15.
I woke up and I chose murder. Let's go. Ready?
Yes, 150. Impact. Impact.
Those are pretty stout impacts, aren't they?
They are. They were stout. All right, I'm on at 200. Impact. Impact.
One.
Sounds good. I'm there for it. Let's go. 250. Impact. Impact.
Windage?
They were on the right of center. Honestly, it was kind of hard to tell which splash was actually. Okay, I'm there. Okay, so that was low.
Okay.
I was underneath the target by about 6 inches or so, and you were to the right. Impact, dead on.
All right, so this is actually a dead-on hold. Ready?
Yes, sir, I'm there. Impact, and that's cleared.
All right.
All right, I'm on over at 350 all the way on the left. Impact, lower quadrant. Good one. Impact.
Nice.
I'm on at 400, we're ready.
Is that the guy on top of the berm?
There's one on top of the berm and one just to the left of him kneeling.
It's easier to see the one on top of the berm.
Okay, I mean, I'm there. If we miss, I might not get splashed, but
I mean, he's presented himself.
Give it to him, Henry. Give it to him. Dead center. Send another. Yeah. Dude,
nice.
Damn, these were both like stacked within an inch or two of each other.
That was a dead on hold.
All right. I'm over to 450. I've got the one crouching and the one standing.
All right, 450. I could do the crouching one, the lower one.
Okay, crouching one there. I'm on for it. Okay, that was perfect elevation. Splash off to the right. Come left, half a target. Dead on. Nice.
Sick. This thing is quite accurate, my friend.
Yes. All right, so at 500, I've got 2 targets. One standing, one crouched.
I actually could see the crouching one now.
Okay, I'm on the crouching target.
Oh, that cloud cover came in and it actually...
Worse or better?
It's more contrast, but it's less contrast with my front sight.
Stand by. Yeah, okay.
I can see it. I can got it. Ready?
Yes. Fire and ready. Impact, left of center. Perfect elevation. Oh, just over his head.
Okay. Uh-oh. Had a little bit of an issue. Okay.
All right, I'm still there at 500. Fire when ready. Hold that same original elevation, just favor and left. Over his head again. The last two shots were over his head. Go ahead and drop to a belly hold. Impact.
Nice. 3 misses, iron sights, semi-automatic, World War II era rifle. I mean, this outperformed the Garand for sure.
Was that only 3 misses?
3 misses.
Just the 2 at the 500?
2 at the 500, and 1 was
Closer, right? The 300 or something
yeah,
like
some
that?
like closer one where I got the wrong hold.
That was sick.
Yeah, I got the wrong hold.
Well, dude, at 400, you stacked them. Like,
Yeah.
they were within 2 inches of each other at 400.
This is absurd. It's a semi-auto, mind you.
World War II semi-auto, just dropping absolute pinpoint shots.
Yeah.
Sick.
Now, you want to hear the funny thing about it? Sweden was neutral in World War II.
That's good, Henry, because we all would have been conquered clearly.
Yeah. So, do you want to try to push this to the 6?
Do I want to try to do what?
The 6?
Let me just power back on my camera.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to step it to 550 first? Do you want to try the 550?
Yeah, let's do the 550.
Okay, I'm on at 550. Do you have the target?
It's the one with a cougar next to it?
Yes. Just left. Just right.
Just right. Let's see if I can do it in 5, maybe?
Yeah, that sailed quite a bit further to the right. Target and a half right on that. There it is. Bang.
Nice. Dude, I mean, it's just... Alright, what do you think, Josh? A direct impingement rifle from World War II, made by a neutral country, shooting the OG 6.5.
I mean, anything in the OG 6.5 is pretty sick. What we have seen is this caliber rocks and is capable of. I bet you if we went to the 1,000-yard range, where we had like very obvious targets with where you could see everything, there wasn't foliage, there wasn't. I bet you we could walk this out to $1,000.
I mean, because like, think of it this way though: the M96, the Swedish Mauser, also did exceptionally well on this range.
That's what I mean. I think that like we could definitely bring this back another day and see about pushing it to 1,000. I bet you, with how accurate this rifle is, I wouldn't be surprised if we could do it.
I mean, it's pretty absurd. It's like World War II tech that is able to do stuff like this.
Yeah, sick.
Like your Mauser, your Garand, like all the belligerent nations were unable to make a rifle to do something like this. And yet, this 130-year cartridge is able to do stuff like this. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, oh man, it's just so much.
Let's go cover some of the history around this rifle and what makes it so unique in the debrief.
Yeah, we'll see you guys there.
Now, before we go any further, a quick word from this video sponsor and title sponsor of the show, Midway USA. Here at 9-Hole, you see us shoot a variety of firearms. We use various optics, from red dots to 25 power precision scopes. We shoot various ammunition, from ball to match to hand loads. We shoot off of various mats and rests, we transport our firearms in a whole bunch of different cases, and we maintain our firearms with a variety of cleaning supplies. But we can find all of this at Midway USA. Midway carries just about everything for serious shooters. But the product offering isn't the only reason we choose Midway. If you need an order shipped quick, Midway's shipping department is probably one of the best in the business. Almost all the orders we place there ship the same or the next business day. And lastly, something I personally love, the stock availability feature. Not only can you see if a product is in stock and available to ship, but you can also see when back-ordered or out-of-stock items are expected to be available again. This lets us know it's safe to order a back-ordered product and that we won't get stuck waiting for months for it to come back into stock. So, if you're looking to pick up some new gear, be sure to check out Midway USA. Now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome into the debrief. Henry, the Ljungman. The Ljungman.
The Ljungman. Don't pronounce the
The
L.
Ljungman.
Ljungman. Okay. Anyways, continue.
I told Henry that it would be a great idea if we went out and we got some 6.5 gassers and really started testing those out on the show. You know, it was something that's really been absent, I think, from the show for far too long. And Henry was kind enough to, that's a great idea. And here we are.
Josh thought the impossible. It's impossible for Henry to go CNR with 6.5 gassers. And yet, we are here with one of the OGs. Pretty OG, right? So pretty early on, AG42 designed in 1942, that is, Josh. Now, this is the AG42B. You could see that it's got the little nubs right here. Of course, the original ones had only serrations. That this whole thing, Josh, is the sort of the operating system to it. But anyways, regardless, Josh was highly impressed with my selection of 6.5 gasser. But
Of course.
not a bad performance though, right? I mean, like,
No, really, really good actually. I know we hit out to 575-ish with it.
yeah.
Probably could have shot further.
Yeah. I think that day, I don't know what it is. I think we may have been truncated on the schedule, or some of I know the targets during that time when we fired, some of them were like kind of rickety, and we were kind of trying to be gingerly on them. But 6.5 by 55 as a cartridge itself so far has proven peerless as far as CNR cartridges go. And so much so that I use it on one of my main precision rifles now, 100 or so years after its conception.
So, as we get into this, Henry, I think there's some relatively important things to talk about here. This doesn't have, as far as I can tell, the general appeal of pop culture as it's related to the World War II time period. This isn't an M1 Garand. It's not an SVT-40. It's not a K98, right? It doesn't have the name recognition and the sort of like, again, the pop culture recognition associated with the primary firearms of the era that sort of immediately come to mind when we think World War II era weapons. But despite that, it has some extremely interesting and very specific like mechanical elements going on and things that are quite unique about this rifle in particular, from its design all the way through to its operating methodology and the operating system specifically. So why don't you take us through sort of the basics of that, and let's get into it.
Well, Josh, I don't mind if I do get to talk about the wood rifles. So Sweden, of all of these countries, has actually some of the most interesting firearms design, and I would say cartridge designs of that era, and even optical designs. But a lot of that stems from Swedish neutrality. And when Sweden, or on the other side, Switzerland, declares neutrality, they don't go by and do this with warm, fuzzy feelings and goodwill. They do this because they are armed to the teeth with very good weapon systems that they could fund with a large a large enough pocketbook. And this is actually one of the outgrowths of the Swedish arms industry. And some elements of it were copied from the SVT, but unique to this, when Josh was talking that we need to get some DI 65 by 65 gassers, this is a DI system, because you can see that the gas tube protruding right here pushes a gas directly towards the bolt face right there. Now, it's debatable. I call this a pure DI system, a pure direct impingement system, because unlike the AR-10s, AR-15s, it doesn't even go into like an internal piston inside the bolt carrier group. It just pushes and dumps everything into a cup that's on top of the bolt carrier. Some people will say that, well, if it's a cup over a tube, that kind of works as a piston. Okay, but how do you then define it? You know, that's just like, I'll let you guys define it in the comment section. I'll put it that way. I do find it interesting though, because Eric Eklund, the guy who designed this particular rifle, he actually worked for a gas pump company. So presumably a company that deals with a lot of gas exchanges of pressures. Now, gas as in fuel gas, not as in aerosol gas, right? I do think it's interesting because then this is my interpretation. It seems like you're tapping into a mind of someone who deals with a lot of fluid exchange and thinking about how to exchange pressures and volumes for a different application and putting that towards a firearm system. But the entire design really favored less mechanical parts to make it easier and simplify the actual movement of it. Because think of manufacturing a piston rifle. There's extra layers of complexity there towards manufacturing and then later on maintenance. And if they're able to simplify that entire system, decrease the moving parts, and just dump gas directly onto the bolt face and make it work, I mean, that's pretty incredible.
So this spawns an immediate question. So obviously everybody talks about how notorious the AR platform is for getting dirty up in and inside, obviously, the bolt carrier, the bolt, the piston, and internal piston, right? Right in that area where like the guts of the gun are. And how that's one of the primary rationale for why you might want a piston AR, right, instead. Yeah, so no different in this case, but what about functionality then? Like, is this, is there any sort of functional issues with reliability associated with this rifle?
So this is an AG42B. So the B are the upgraded models. In the 50s, they upgraded a lot of these things. But you'll see on the receiver for this particular one, it's from 45. So this was at one point an AG42, flat out AG42. Some of the major upgrades, honestly, came more so down to longevity issues. Like they had corrosion on the gas the gas tube, and they switched it out to stainless, stuff like that. Some of them were ergonomic issues, like the dust cover right here, the operation of the dust cover that you saw me use. It had serrated top. So you had to like grip it and move it. And so if it were winter and you had heavy gloves and it was really wet outside, you may slip on some of those particular items. The magazine had, again, like a lot of these were ergonomic upgrades rather than functionality upgrades. As far as functionality goes, I'm particularly using Swedish M41 spec ammunition. So ammunition that corresponds to what the Swedes issued, and which was the intended purpose for this as a military rifle, to use stuff that came out through the military logistics system. It had a reputation of being fairly reliable. As you saw on when we shot, is pretty decent. I think it's interesting though when we contrast this to like AR-10 systems, like modern SR-25 systems. I think a lot of those seem to be civilian developed, and then trying to adopt that back towards the military side. And specifically talking about SR-25, not the old school stoner AR-10s. I feel like those seem to be a lot more civilian developed, and so they have adjustable gas to accommodate a lot of different loads that are being sent through them. Whereas this one, obviously, it does not have adjustable gas, but it's also not meant to be shooting super light 6.555 loads or super heavy 6.555 loads. It's meant for the 139, 140 grain military load, the M41 cartridge. But, I mean, on the range, though, I think we shot right at 20, right? 21 shots, and we cleared the course. Very minimal misses for a semi-auto with iron sights specifically. Great iron sights, by the way. So I do think it slept on because it didn't participate in the war because they were neutral. Because of that, you don't get it, by nature of that, you just don't get a lot of pop culture recognition.
Right. So now one thing that I wanted to ask about here as well is that the quick Google search of this, and it returns that this was based off of the SVT 40 or 38 or 40. But what I saw, what didn't make sense to me was that as far as I understand it, the SVT models are piston driven.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this would, if based on those, not the operating system, right? So,
you could argue that yes, some of it was based on, in a sense that the bolt is also a tilt bolt. So the bolt actually works like a FAL or SKS or SVT40 to where it tilts down and contacts a locking lug. Unlike the M1 Garand that rotates and locks the cartridge in. The SVT40 from this era was kind of that semi-auto that came out, and it made its splash on the Eastern Front. So, of course, it would have had some form of inspiration that affected some of these things. Now, yes, there are certain elements that draw similarities, but it would be a stretch to say that this was fully based off of an SVT40, in my opinion, because the gas system is just so different.
So, Henry, having shot this now against a number of other rifles from the era, granted, we haven't shot the SVT-40 on course, but how does this stack up? What's the accuracy like? I mean, what's the overall recoil like? The operating, methodology, the ergonomics, like how does this all stack up in terms of shooting this versus any of the other things?
Let's say like an M1. People know the M1 very well. Like SVTs, yeah, it's out there, but people have M1s. M1s were just so proliferated as the semi-auto in World War II, right? And you're telling me to contrast my favorite cartridge semi-auto to the M1? Like, I love the M1, but I love shooting this thing. This is, accuracy-wise, this thing is amazing. 6.5 by 55 delivers some pretty awesome ballistics. Okay, so both of these rifles, the interesting thing is, both of these rifles have a reputation for being thumb munchers. Right? The M1 is known for the Garand thumb. The Garand thumb, if you must. And this thing is, and Ian talks about this in his video too, that you could really hurt your finger if you don't know how to operate these things. What people, I think, then take it as, oh, this is crazy because then you have to flip it on safe in order to load it. And that's just not the case, though, because the way this was designed, you basically take your stripper clip, there's a little lug up top, you rotate this thing in to where it stops it, and then you jam the whole thing in. And then you take another one, you jam the whole thing in by rotating the stripper clip in as well. And then once you're done with that, you can even have the clip in, and it loads it. Now, those are dummy cartridges. Those are not live cartridges. It's a very fast and intuitive system if you're familiar with it.
Impact, dead on.
All right, so this is actually a dead-on hold. If you're not familiar with it, of course you could hurt yourself. Like any firearm, you could hurt yourself if you're unfamiliar with it. Because of the last round bolt hold open, it's got a similar design to like an FNFAL or an SKS. It's just like this little plunger that pops up and holds the bolt up top. And then when the magazine follower depresses, there's no longer anything that pushes the plunger up. And so if you're unfamiliar with the motion of using... Oh, that's not a great example right now. If you're unfamiliar with using okay. This is a pickle on what to potentially avoid, but did you see what I did right there? I took the magazine out and I hooked it back onto the carrier, pulled it back, and now I can clear the firearm. But if you're unfamiliar with that motion, what people are fearing is if there's no follower to hold the bolt hold open, and you push this forward, and then it could snap your finger off by doing that. So yes, if you're unfamiliar with a system and you do something like that, you can run into issues. So all of that though, how does it compare to the M1? I like shooting this more than the M1. That's just me. The cartridge itself is awesome. Recoil is less. You have 10 rounds as opposed to 8 rounds, and for me, I've shot it enough at this point to where the loading process is fairly simple. It's fairly intuitive. Like, you can see me clear jams without really thinking too much about it. But it takes time, I think, for the familiarization process, because it was designed by people who did design firearms. Some of this stuff may be intuitive after you use it for a while, but for someone who's used to the classic charging handle and manipulating the bolt as is, that may be a daunting task with a heavy spring like that coming behind it. But I must say, so this isn't the only variation of this rifle. Very notably, the Egyptians adopted this particular type of system into the Hakim, which shot the 8mm, and the Rashid, which we have one. We will shoot the Rashid. And the Rashid has a charging handle that they built into it. So presumably that caused enough issues for the Egyptians to maybe think, hey, maybe we need a charging handle so the troops understand how to use this. Later on, the Rashid would then be adopted by the Iraqis. So it was a really interesting lineage. As far as the AG42 itself in Sweden, it never went past the 6.5x55 cartridge in general adoption as an infantry weapon system. It's taken an even more unorthodox trajectory. Nice. Into becoming a spotting gun. So spotting guns, if you are unfamiliar, is actually something that's closer to towed artillery or towed recoilless guns. Basically, it fires a tracer on top of a recoilless rifle to show the trajectory of where the recoilless rifle, the bigger cartridge, would go. And so the Swedes ended up chambering some of these in 7.62 by 5.1 to shoot those tracer rounds, but it's no longer an infantry weapon. Like, okay, in a Call of Duty setting, if you really had to and you had no small arm, I'm sure you could argue that you could use a recoilless rifle and, you know, get the traverse and elevation and rotate everything and use the tracer on top of the spotting gun to eliminate a target. Sure, you could argue that. But nobody uses that to shoot like foot mobiles anymore. It's now used to shoot to basically show where the recoilless gun is pointed. So
interesting.
But the AG-42, though, I'd say is a fairly slept-on rifle in the States. Unfortunate that it's slept on because it's actually a very good shooter. One side, I think, why it's also slept on is because of the cartridge. Not a lot of people have 6.5 by 55. I'm one of the weirdos who loads a lot of 6.5 by 55 because I like to shoot it a lot. But typically 6.5 by 55 is fairly expensive, and for reloaders out there, if you fire this thing, your casing is less than likely to be recovered, even less than the M1 Garand, because like the roller delayed rifles, it is straight out there.
Nice.
Yep.
So, all in, quite an impressive run. One of the best CNR runs that we've had, especially with iron sights. And maybe not surprising given the caliber, but I do think surprising given sort of semi-auto in the era. Sort of, yeah, I would say that this was an impressive run.
Yeah, I think if you put everything into context, right, it's using a really old cartridge, a proven old cartridge at that, but the design is very unorthodox. Nobody did anything along these lines. The operation is strange. I mean, if you drop this next to someone who's used to an SVT-40, an M1 Garand, or a G43, they would not intuitively be able to operate this system. The gas system is also completely different from everything that had been issued or had been used at that point. And rightfully so, designed by a gas pump company. And part of that, remember, this was the era when corrosive ammunition was a thing, even in semi-autos. SVT-40s, M1 Garands, and the G43s, those were using corrosive ammunition all throughout. And so you had to clean it. But the Swedes, 6.5 by 55, was never issued with corrosive primers. So it was really interesting with the culmination of all this. It really is, it would be highly less likely for something like this to exist outside of the Kingdom of Sweden. So I do think that the existence of this is really interesting and a testament to the Swedish arms industry itself.
All right, so for those of you who are still around, who are enthralled by the wood rifle, like, comment, subscribe, do all the good YouTube stuff. Hop over into Patreon, check out the private Discord, and talk to Henry about his love of the wood rifle. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the range.
This is Steel 96, 4 Vic, 8 packs, Redcon 1, green to green. How copy, over?
Steel 96, this